Imagine that you have realized a ship cruise through the Mediterranean Sea and you arrived at the harbor by train, and for the way home you took an airplane. And of course you would like to recreate this wonderful journey in Vasco da Gama, and that means that every time when we changed from train to ship or from ship to airplane, we have to change the transport object, the head object in Vasco da Gama. So I have created a fictive traveling route through the Mediterranean Sea, as you can see here, and I'm at the starting point, and the first thing I do is I will set a pause time of 1 second, as I did it in the former lessons as well, because it looks better when the head object does not start instantly when we play back the animation. So I will set it to 1 second, and since we are directly here, I will activate the acceleration and brake at stop over points. I will leave it set to 50%. Now we go to Objects, select the head object settings, and the head object we switch from current to 3D object, and now I press the select object button, and now we are at the main category Vasco da Gama and the subcategory trains. So I select here the white one here, this fast train. Now we see it here in the preview window, and it is placed directly at our starting point. The object size is by default set to 100%. That of course is too big, but for the demonstration, for what I would like to show you, it's perfect. So now we go directly to the next point, and since we are still in the object section, we can see here that at this route point the train is still selected and the head object setting is set to current, which means no changes. But here we have to change our head object, so I select 3D object and press the select object button, and now we are already in the subcategory ships, and in this category we find here nearly at the end one of the AIDA cruisers, and when I select it, in the menu appearance I can even switch between 3 different types of the AIDA. By default is selected the AIDA Cara, particle effects are on, and so I accept with OK. And now we have at this point the new head object defined. So now that we have selected our new head object, we jump back to the root section, because at this point we need a pause time as well, because here we changed the head object and our objects should pause a short time. Let's set it to the usual 1 second, and of course we activate the accelerate and brake at stop over points, because the train should stop smoothly. And now let's use the slider here, and you can see when I go back the train moves back and forth, and now the train arrives at the harbor, and when I drag the bar here slowly, you can see that from one moment to the other here at this point, suddenly the ship appears here. So this is a hard cut. That means from one picture frame to the next one changes the head object. And this doesn't look very professional, so we need a solution. Of course, Vasco da Gama has the right tool. We go back to the object section, and in the settings for the head object here, and this time not in the position but in the fade group, we have a fade in effect. And here we can select between off, smooth fade, scale or crossfade. So I simply select smooth fade for both for fade in and for fade out effect, and both fade effects will take 1 second. So when the train arrives at the harbor, it will be faded out smoothly, and after changing the head object, the ship will be faded in. So let's have a look at the preview. And I play it back, and now the train arrives at the harbor, and pay attention, it was faded out and the ship is faded in. So this looks quite nice already, and you can see from now on we have only supporting points. Their only purpose is designing the ship route through the Mediterranean Sea. No other things will happen here. And here is the next point, which is a stopover point, because here we will leave the ship and take the airplane back home. So I jump directly to this point. So now we will do all our now routine tasks. We set the selection for the head object to 3D object. We select the new object. We are already in the airplane section. I select this airplane. And since we have selected an airplane, I activate the flight mode option. And of course, at this point, we activate as well smooth fade for the fade in and the fade out effect. And now we jump to the route section, set a pause time of 1 second as usual, and we activate accelerate and brake. And that's all that we have to do at this point. And now we jump to the next point, to the end point of our route. And here we don't change anything in the object, but in the route section here, let's set a pause time of 2 seconds. So we have 1 additional second at the end. And of course, accelerate and brake at stopover points. So all these are now routine tasks. So and now let's go to the preview section. Let's play back our animation and see how it looks like. Here comes the train. Now we go on board of the ship, take our cruise through the Mediterranean Sea, and here at the end we take our plane back home. So I think this looks really great right now, and my goal was to show you how you switch, how you change your head object during your traveling route, and what tools we have available to make the switching of the head object looking good in the animation. So, and now you are perfectly trained for your projects when you have to change your head object, and please don't be shy. My advices are not the only way. You can realize things in many different ways, and please try out the functions. You can't do any harm, and if you are concerned about your already created project, just if you have a new idea, save your project, open a new one, an empty one, construct a testing route just as I'm doing it here in the learning course all the way. Just use only 2 or 3 route points, keep things simple, try it out, and then when you have found your solution all the way, how you would like to construct something, then you do it in your main project. Or even you can make a copy of your main project and try it out, and then when you have found the solution, just you delete the copy and you realize your idea in your main project. So there is no problem. You can't do any harm if you take care that you have always a copy of your main project file.